Justin.
Hey
Hey,
there.
Justin.
How are you?
I am excellent, and actually, because my night did not go as expected, just to show how informal it is, I'm literally snacking on McDonald's French fries
You
as we
snack
speak.
snack away. I actually normally wear the most ridiculous t-shirts on my live, but I was like, I'm gonna have JB on, so I need to like step it up today and actually not wear something absurd like I usually do. So, but I appreciate you doing this with me.
Are
And
you kidding? No, I appreciate you because I knew that I wanted to try to do this at some point, and you were the first person I thought of just because when your name is Justin on TikTok, that's it's usually a pretty good place to start if you're gonna do a live for the first time. So saying hi to everybody in the chat, everybody filing in. I'm looking forward to a fun conversation, a good conversation with Justin.
yeah, likewise. And if y'all are here, if you don't follow JB already, this is now very easy for you. You can just click on his name right there and follow him. Definitely follow him for sure, especially if you guys like the stuff that we talk about, like Idaho and the Murdoch cases. Although I think more people need to be interested in the Murdoch case, and I'm very frustrated that more people aren't because it's an insane case,
Mm-hmm.
or trial. But nevertheless, go follow him seriously.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. I am. We'll get into this more over the course of the video, over the course of the live. But I'm trying to do. People have been asking me to get on TikTok forever, and I knew that I wanted to eventually start doing content on this platform. I'll tell you the truth. I was a little bit overwhelmed because I don't want to do it the wrong way. I wanted to do it kind of I wanted to do it in a way that I thought that would resonate with people. You know how it is, Justin. When it
Yeah.
comes to creating content, you want to be really respectful of the platform, respectful of people, and I wanted to do it the right way. So it took a little bit of time to get on TikTok. I've been joking the last week. Watch them. Watch. They're gonna ban TikTok right when I start to actually find my footing. That's what's gonna happen.
Well, they're not going to ban TikTok, at least not forever. Everyone ever. Oh yeah, people can give you gifts when they do stuff
Okay.
like that happens.
So that's a real. So I have no control over that. That's new.
No,
I've
you
never.
have no control. They can send you and put hats on you, sunglasses, all sorts of crazy stuff.
This is
Um,
dangerous.
it's very dangerous. Well, I'm glad that you just. I remember telling you during Gabby that you need to get on TikTok, but it's a much more informal platform than YouTube or even I'd say Instagram. So I think that obviously you're used to being in front of a camera pretty much every single day. I don't really think you're going to have any issue here.
Yeah,
See, I
I
just
love
got the
this.
sunglasses. There you go.
Sunglasses and I'm like a mustached cowboy. Yeah, I
Yeah.
love it. So do people just hit a button and they can animate me? They
Yes.
can meme me basically.
Well, what is it? It's gifts. So basically, people spend money on these things, and they'll send them to you basically to show appreciation. So like that,
So it's
and
love. They're
it's
sending me
love.
love
It's
by
a hundred
making fun
percent.
of me.
It's 100% love.
Well, I love you guys, man. I love everybody. Um,
He goggles.
people Domino is saying I see some of the comments coming in like, "Oh, and I'm making money. I can't make money. I'm not allowed to make money." When it comes to if there was money that was actually made on this, I would donate it. I can't make money. That's part of the handcuffs, if you will, of being a journalist. It's about reporting, but Justin, I look forward to our chat, and I shouldn't have let this go on for as long as I have without asking how your night's going.
My night's going well. We are. I'm not in my normal house. We have cabins in Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg, and my wife's birthday was yesterday, so we came out here for that. So normally I'm in not so much wood around me, but here we are tonight. But no, it's going great. This is always a fun area to be in.
Yeah, that's awesome. I see some people are asking. I'm at home, so I have my cats, and they are around. People have been asking where are the cats, where are the cats. They will make a cameo appearance. They're probably waiting for the audience count to get higher, and then they'll hop on the live stream because they're picky. Yeah, people know that I love cat. I'm a humongous cat lover, and not I don't mean that like I love humongous cats. I mean that I just love cats a lot. So, but my cats are a little bit chunky. They might make a cameo in this live stream
That's cool.
later on.
They're very welcome. My dogs make cameos frequently, so
Awesome.
it's totally cool. Well, what do you want to start off with? I mean, been a lot of big things lately. I mean, I know that everybody's chomping at the bit for Idaho because I think that Banfield's going to have Xana's mom on tonight, so I'm sure you
Wow.
probably
Okay.
know a little bit about that. But everybody's chomping at the bit for Idaho. I'm chomping at the bit for Murdoch because, again, I think that this case is just absolutely insane. And then there's just a bunch of other stuff going on. So I mean, I'll let you pick and choose because it's whatever you want to talk about.
Well, here I'm gonna let our audience really dictate this.
All right.
I mean, we'll start with Murdoch because that's the big thing, and as you noted, um, I think it'll take some time for people to really gravitate towards the story outside of South Carolina. In South Carolina, it doesn't get any bigger than this. This is all anybody's talking about. I think more people are going to pay attention as some of the headlines come out and some of the what is expected to be just bonkers developments start to make it through to certain channels on the media in the media. But yeah, so for commenters, let us know some of the stories that you would like for us. I'll let kind of Justin handle what he's seeing in the comment section, like what you want us to talk about. We can talk about some of the biggest stories. We can talk about we can have some fun on this live stream. I'm down for anything. I just wanted an opportunity to give this a shot and try out this platform. But on Alex Murdoch, I've talked about it a lot on stream, but Justin, you and I could be live for 72 hours straight, and
Yeah,
we wouldn't be able to get to all of it.
Yeah, I did a 3-minute video trying, like, okay, look, if you just need to know basics about this case to where to start, and people were like, well, what about more? I'm like, look, like, or give me a brief update. I'm like, there is no brief update on this trial. There are so many twists and turns, and every time you think you've got something, there's something else crazy that happens. It's insane, as you know. What did you think of the opening statements today?
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing that really stood out to me without, crossing any boundaries here as far as, the job that I do, I think the most noteworthy thing to me was just how different the two styles were between each side. You had, you had the state and their argument presented in a way that was, I think raising his voice was something that he did quite a bit on the stream, and the defense for Harpootlian, that was interesting too because he was theatrical to me, having Alex Murdoch stand up, opening with saying, "Alex, would you stand up?" That's a very theatrical thing to do in a courtroom, to command the room in that way, and to then go up to where witnesses are going to be seated and where they'll be taking the stand for testimony, and put his hand on the chair, the seat there. That was very theatrical to me, and I think it's setting the stage for what is going to be a really crazy trial. But here's the thing I want people to understand: this story is so complex. There are so many interweaving storylines, and it's going to be. I think it's one of the reasons why trial coverage is going to be so difficult is because there's going to be so much that is going to be coming out, and it's going to be really hard for the average viewer who hasn't been locked into this story to follow along. It's almost like a trial for the diehards in South Carolina, the people that have been living and breathing this for really the last couple of years. So I think hopefully on stream we'll be able to break things down a little bit, try to explain what is going on, because at certain moments it might sound like gibberish to people, but we'll try to make sense of it all if we can.
Yeah, and I'll a couple people are asking. So if you guys want to know where you can stream the stuff, especially during the day, just follow him. He streams it.
Yeah,
so you can follow him. And as far as people, if you miss opening arguments, I'm sure we can set up a time to stream that too. Real quick, there's 700. Just so you know, because I know that there's probably not as many on your side yet because you're still new here, but there's 775 over here. So what I will say,
like people watching.
Yeah, on my side, plus whatever you have on yours. So also, if you guys don't follow JB, go jump to his side, click that at the bottom, and give him a follow. If you like, again, if you followed the Gabby case, Guy Petito, if you followed everything with Idaho, now Murdoch, which if you don't follow Murdoch, you need to go follow him, seriously. So
I'm down to answer really any questions for people. Someone just said, "I love you." That's so sweet and so kind. It's some fun comments, and I'm down to talk about anything tonight. It's all on the table. Really, what I can, as far as the stories that I cover, it's what I can answer. So some things, if it comes down to my opinion and stuff like that, I can't really answer, but I'll do my very best. Really, anything that we cover and anything that that you want to know is on the table.
So I heard. So when you said earlier about Dick Hartpoolian being a little theatrical, I've heard his courtroom style described by many people as being theatrical. But you know what it kind of reminded me of today, because I listened to the whole thing too. Did you ever see My Cousin Vinny?
Yeah.
Okay, it kind of reminded me of the time where they go in and they're doing their opening statements, and Joe Pesci comes and goes, "Yeah, everything that guy said is BS." That's basically exactly what I heard today. Because he just really started talking about duty and honor and oath, and again, the theatrics having him stand up. So I'm interested to see where it's going. A lot of people in South Carolina don't believe that he will, that he'll get off on these charges. But at the same time, he's got like 90 financial charges against him too.
Yes.
And the federal government will happily send him to jail for a long time.
Yeah.
Because they love doing it.
Especially after he confessed to the one related to his really the former nanny for the house, which was Gloria Satterfield. He has confessed to that crime, which was in essence, there was millions of dollars that should have gone to the Satterfield family. This is the nanny who was inside the house, according to the Murdaugh family, fell down the stairs and she died. And there was supposed to be a significant financial compensation for her children, and it turned out that money didn't go to that family. It went to Alex Murdaugh, and that of course just a massive. But he has reportedly confessed to that. So the financial crimes, the charges are there are so many of them, 90 plus to that effect. It makes you wonder, even if it's determined in a court of law that he did not murder his wife and son, I mean, he's still buried in litigation. And I mean, and those charges will carry prison sentences. So he's 64 years old. I mean, how long is he going to, how many years does he have left? Is it going to be mostly from prison? These are questions that are very real for Alex Murdaugh as this trial happens. But really, the big thing that people want to know, if he murdered his wife and his son.
Yeah. Well, based on, I know there's a lot of circumstantial, but I'm very interested to hear what the Snapchat rep has to say, because there's been a lot of rumors about what might be on that. Some people say that it's just, I mean, like they kind of said today earlier in the opening statements too, that, he wasn't thinking right. So maybe he said he wasn't there. They're trying to kind of get that out there, I guess, get ahead of that, because I think what's going to happen at the very least, he's going to be on the Snapchat when he said he wasn't there. But at the same time, there's rumors, which I don't believe this rumor. I don't think it'd be great if it was, that Paul caught something maybe with his mom or whatever before, and that's on the Snapchat. But I would imagine if they did have that, then he would have been arrested a lot sooner than he was.
I'll say this. I'm really starting to wonder. I'll say this. I'm really starting to wonder if what this case is going to really come down to is digital forensics. The blood evidence on the clothing. There has been some legal analysis put out there that is not going to, pun not intended, stick in court that well. That is not going to be that the defense, the attorneys on the defensive side of this are not going to have too much difficulty poking holes in whether or not that's evidence that points to guilt. So digital forensics might be the most important piece of evidence in this case. People are asking where my cat is. I'm seeing a lot of cat comments on my screen, and she's right here next to me. So can we do a cat cameo quickly? Yeah. Okay. Here she is. Hold on.
Of course, and I probably should share this with you. I don't know if he wants me to share this or not, but I believe that Mr. Petito is in this live on my side.
Oh, is he?
Mm-hmm.
Joe Petito?
Yes.
Oh man, Joe, if you're watching, saying hello. and I look forward to connecting with you and talking with you more. Uh, there were developments for people that are in the comment section. There were significant developments yesterday with the Petito case, and it was a victory.
Huge victory.
A victory for Nicole Schmidt and Joe Petito, who were very much seeking to have attorney Stephen Bertolino added to the lawsuit that they have filed against the Laundries. So I am sure that that Joe, who is now 3 for 3 in these pretrial hearings alongside his attorney Pat Riley, I'm sure that Joe is enjoying the success that they have had in a courtroom. Nothing will ever bring Gabby back. Nothing will ever bring her back. But I know that Joe is fighting for the truth to come out, and I know that he wants to see justice. And I also know how important it is to Joe in the conversations that he and I have had, that it's really important to Joe that change get done. That Gabby's legacy is about the future, and doing everything that the family can to ensure that that families don't experience the same heartbreak that the Petitos and Schmidts did. So Joe's in the comment section saying hello, Joe, and I hope that you are well.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I every time anything comes, because as you know, especially I got very close to that case when when it was going on, and I take it very, very personally at this point. And when I saw that Stephen Bertolino was formally added, that the judge granted that, I was very, very excited about that because, for all, again, I know you're not allowed to have personal opinions necessarily publicly out here, but I can say that, the way I watched it, they knew exactly what they were doing. The Laundries knew exactly what they were doing. And, it was their kid, and, they had a kid too. I get it. But if you're a parent, you should know that them wanting to know where their child was is very reasonable, and to shut them out like that is just beyond cruel, in my opinion. So I'm allowed to.
And I'll share this, Justin. I think that is an opinion that is shared by a lot of people. And when I, part of my job is to be a reflection, a mirror, if you will, or a megaphone rather, for people online, and to actually give voice to our comment section. And if there's one thing that is absolutely clear about the Gabby Petito story, tragedy, however you would like to call it, it's that people out there don't think that they know exactly the full extent of the Laundries' involvement, and what they knew and how they handled it, and this is an opportunity for truth finding. My big thing is, and people who have watched me on stream before, they know I don't pick sides. I don't pick sides. My number, I'm on the side of truth. Truth needs to come out when we're, of course, talking about stories like these. It's all about finding out what really happened. The Alex Murdaugh case, what really happened that night, I believe the night of June 21st, 2021, at the dog kennels on their Honey Lodge property. What really happened when Brian Laundrie returned home without his fiance, and what were the conversations that took place when he was in the van on the way back home? It's a long ride in that van on the way back home. What was exactly discussed, and what if any plans were made? I mean, just about finding out the truth. I mean, that's really, if people, if you're looking for a microcosm of what I try to be about as far as the news coverage that I do, it's just about finding out the truth. That's it. Yeah. And I'm all for transparency, and I'm all for doing everything that we can to understand these stories and provide them in a way that is fact-based and truth-seeking.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. That's what's great about, you don't put any bias on it, which is great. You just come straight from facts. You share the story, and that's what makes it compelling. That's what makes, to me, that you can go to certain other news people and they're going to put their spin on it, and you really just don't do that. Enton doesn't do it either. You and Enton both are pretty straightforward.
Yeah, and it's also too, I think sometimes people there are shows where particular personalities aren't they are going to state their very loud opinions, and then some shows where it's more keeping the train on the track, so to speak. So it really just, sometimes it can be a little bit confusing for people to understand what they're watching, and I thank you for the kind words. It's all about just the facts and finding out the truth.
Yeah, and real quick, I will say this, if I may, since Mr. Petito's in here, just so y'all remember, I know it's been about a little over a year since Gabby's case, but they do have a store and I can try to remember what the website. I can't remember what the website is at the moment. Now that I said that, it's in my profile. But if you go to my profile in my link tree, you can scroll down, and all of the money goes, to the Gabby Petito Foundation. It's Gabby Petito Foundation. That's what it is. It's that simple. But everything goes to the Gabby Petito Foundation. So, and I will say that I've ordered stuff. A lot of my followers have ordered stuff, and it's all great. And it goes to a good cause. So, definitely support that.
Yeah, and I was just doing some searching, some of my notes, but
I'm gonna pin it real quick. Mr. Petito said it, so I'm gonna pin it real quick if I can.
Will I be able to see it then?
I don't know if you'll be, because it's in my chat. If it'll let me pin it, sometimes it lets me. It works with me, and sometimes it doesn't.
Okay.
If one of my mods can pin what Joseph Petito just said, because it's not letting me do it, please do. So it's GabbyPetitoFoundation.org. Since it's not letting me do it, somebody please pin that for me. I don't know. Okay, that my mod is saying they can't pin. I don't know if TikTok maybe changed that, or maybe it's because I'm live with somebody else. Okay, it's because I'm live. But Gabby Petito,
I'm breaking your stream.
That's fine. It's fine.
And just really quickly, one last thing for Joe. Joe can, you don't have to. He doesn't need to hear this from me. But he knows. He knows where I stand on this. Joe, just keep up the tremendous work that you're doing, man. Joe has become such a tremendous advocate for missing persons cases, and even working with lawmakers, Billy's Law. Just some of the work that Joe is doing. I did not know Gabby Petito, but I'm sure that Gabby would be extremely proud of how her family has really taken this to new levels, and Joe's work really, as far as trying to make this make sure that this doesn't happen again, or happen to in fewer instances. It's really inspiring, and if Joe's still on the live, I just wanted to say that his work is absolutely extraordinary, as is Nicole's, as is Tara's, as is Jim's. They are a unit, and they do tremendous work.
Okay, and he just said, mention the bill for LAP or LAP, a domestic violence bill being voted on in Utah on Monday. So,
I did not know that vote was coming up on Monday. So I'm glad that Joe put that on my radar, and that's why I have the laptop here.
And I'll say this too, especially because he's in here, because I've said this before on many lives that we've talked about, the Gabby Petito case and the horrific situation that was. The Petito Schmidt family took an absolutely horrific situation and took their grief, took their pain, and made something beautiful out of it, to make sure that other families get the help that they need and get the attention that they need. And I have, since the start of this whole thing, I have been in awe of this family, because I don't know of any other time I've seen something like this happen, where somebody loses a loved one and then they, with very few exceptions, take that memory and do something beautiful with it, and continue to run with it. So I would say that whether he was here or not, but I wanted to make sure, since he was here, that I said that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And Joe, I'm gonna pay attention to that. What he said, it was Monday, right?
He said Monday.
Yeah, he knows I'm a reporter in Florida, so I'm really really honed in on Florida law. But I will try to do some research and do my very best to shout that out as well. And Joe, look, Joe is an outstanding follow on social too.
Yeah, I follow him on everything, I think. So.
So yeah, Joe is Joe's a hero to a lot of people, man.
He doesn't post a ton, but when he does, it's good. So
yep. But yeah, whether it's look, I'm here, hanging out tonight. So it's whatever folks would like to hear about. So what are people saying in our comment section? I saw Michelle's comment. Michelle is one of our great YouTube moderators. Michelle, I saw your email. I'll get back to you on that. Just saying hi to Michelle. She's She's just incredible on the WFLA YouTube page. But yeah, Justin, I'll let you kind of steer the ship from here, man.
Well, right now a lot of them are, sending love to Mr. Petito. So that's kind of what somebody wants to be caught up with Murdoch, so we can do that next a little bit more. Even though there's no, again, like you said, we could be here 72 hours straight talking about that case. But also, I will say before you say anything, if y'all are just getting here, because there's 939 on my side, I don't know how many are on yours. If you guys don't already follow WFLA JB, you can see his name down there on the bottom corner. Go to his page, give him a follow. He's somebody who should have been on TikTok a long time ago, but he's just getting on now. And give him. I promise you won't be disappointed. So,
thank you. And Justin, I would tell people to follow you, but the world follows you already on TikTok. So
I appreciate it, but it might have a little bit more credibility coming from you. So the biggest things that they want to hear, they're saying the Idaho 4 and Murdoch. So I'll let you pick. Murdoch is lengthy, obviously, because there's so much. In Idaho, there's a lot too, but it's a little bit more condensed.
Yeah, and I'm seeing comments about Cassie Carley. That's crazy that there was an update just this evening, or really an update.
I don't even know that one. So why don't you catch me up on that?
So Cassie Carley, Florida mom who was doing a custody exchange with her daughter, vanished, disappeared. Ex-boyfriend has been widely accused of it, but prosecutors have really struggled to find evidence that leads to a murder charge in that case. But a federal grand jury indicted him today on kidnapping charges. So we originally had an abusive corpse charge. It is now escalated to a federal charge of kidnapping, and so people were starting to get concerned that there would never be justice for Cassie Carley, and we still don't know, and innocent until proven guilty. But Marcus Spanavella, the ex-boyfriend, has been indicted. That's kind of a bit of breaking news, if you will, on this stream. That's a big deal. I posted some stuff about it on Alex Murdoch. You know what the thing is? I mean, I'll answer any specific questions that we get. Hi, Stormy. I recognize you from YouTube. Hello. Alex Murdoch, I'll answer any specific questions we get, but the big thing to know about this case is that, right now, with opening statements now in the rearview mirror, and we really get into day one of the jury trial tomorrow, we're going to be watching, everyone's witnesses to this. We're all going to be watching this all unfold in this courtroom in real time. And everyone connected to this case repeatedly says that this is going to be one of the more visual trials that you will see. And so often when it comes to trials, we're visual creatures by nature. And when people see something, it resonates with them.
Yeah.
And this is going to be a lot of show and tell. And some of the show and tell is going to be really, as we understand, it's going to be pretty graphic. There's going to be some difficult images that are displayed in the courtroom. Again, we're talking about the double murder of a wife and her son. I'll answer any specific questions that might exist out there if people want to ask about it. But really, the story is to be told. Really, we're about to witness it all in this trial that really begins tomorrow.
Do you know how many felonies? Somebody asked on my side. Do you know how many felony charges he has total? I mean, outside of just the murder.
Well, I know he's got more than 90 total right now. I don't know how many of them are categorized as felony, and if there are any misdemeanor charges in there. I don't know the categorization, but a lot of them are connected to accusations of swindling people out of their money. I mean, lawyers get bad reputations, bad reps, and sometimes it's undeservedly so. But if these charges, if these accusations against him are accurate, this is an example of elitism and an elite lawyer really taking money from the little guy and doing so repeatedly to live a lavish life and use his influence to create more money and using his money to create more influence. So again, if the accusations are true. But when you have the volume of accusations that exist, it begins to tell a story. Innocent until proven guilty, but the charges and the litigation, it's all adding up for Alex Murdaugh, and it paints a really ugly picture as to how Alex Murdaugh became Alex Murdaugh, if true.
Well, and let's break it down a little bit for some people, just to give them a little bit of an idea. So, to understand, like, this is small southern town where you have a family that's a dynasty that has been running things for pretty much 100 years. They literally had to take down Alec Murdaugh's grandfather's portrait down from the courtroom because they've been litigators forever. And just to kind of give you an idea of what JB was talking about as far as taking money, and he was talking about Gloria Satterfield, who was a housekeeper nanny for 20 years, right? 20 years?
Yeah, a long time. I mean, we're talking about, having a close, very, very, very close with the kids. This was the house, the house nanny, if you will. Yeah.
Yeah. And she apparently, kept everything. She wouldn't even talk about what she heard or saw in the house with her kids. So what happens is she supposedly falls, hits her head. I don't think there's any criminal. I don't know if they're reopening anything on that to see if he did anything. But because to me, and this is me being speculative here, so I'll just, with what we know, to me, it seems like he's all about money. He set up, so he told basically when she died, he told Gloria's children to sue him to get the insurance money because it would be more than anything else and they would take care of him. Alex set their kids up with his best friend, another attorney. Then Alex set up a shell corporation, and when they won, funneled all the money into that. And he apparently did that multiple times with other people too. And that's just one thing he's done. One.
Yeah, the Satterfield story is just extraordinarily sad because this is a woman who gave so much of her life to helping this family in their home, and to have to have this happen to her, and to, as far as her memory, Gloria's memory, to have the money that was meant to go to her kids and provide those kids with a good life, and to ease some of their pain and suffering, for the family to take that money, that's a really evil thing. I think most people would agree. And so Gloria's body is going to be exhumed, as I understand it. That is the report out of South Carolina, and try to determine if something else might have happened to her. If all of a sudden this light goes off on me, it's because there's a light behind my iPhone, and the cats are now having a field day with it. So it's not because I lost power. It's because my cats are very, very mad that I'm giving people attention rather than them attention. So quick cat update from my living room.
If it happens, we'll
I'll just be a little darker.
Yeah. And on top of that, I don't know if you knew this or you probably did, but apparently got to the point where they had a trailer. That's what they lived in, her kids, and it got foreclosed on because of everything.
I did not. And again, this is the part about the story that the Alex Murdaugh story that is so difficult for us as journalists is, look, if you're a South Carolina journalist, if you're a WBTW, if you're a WCBD, if you're a WSAV, one of those stations, you've been probably living and breathing this case for the last 18 months. For reporters like me, I'm never shy to tell people the truth. And the truth is, I have been up day and night doing research on this story. But unless you have been just like, okay, so you're a perfect example. If somebody tried to get caught up in a couple of weeks about Gabby Petito, you can get caught up. You can get the Cliff Notes. And I've done a really, really thorough job to make sure that I am really covering my bases as far as knowing the facts of the case. But I've told this to people on stream. I probably could have done 3 months of research and not gotten to all of it. So there's so much to the case that's so complex. And just like somebody coming in, look, if the Gabby Petito lawsuit trials in August, there are going to be national news reporters who are going to come in, and I can guarantee you that there are going to be few that are going to be able to understand it as much as myself or Brian Enton, because we were quite literally, on the
Yeah.
ground, or not, me, I was in studio, but it was in our DMA, as we call it in the news. And so I'm able to know that story inside and out. And there are South Carolina reporters who know the story inside and out too. And so, but a lot of this is going to come down to how each side presents their case and proves their case in trial. And I'm very grateful that we have live stream access to it too, Justin. I'm sure you are also.
I am too. I'm
very grateful that we can see in this courtroom.
Yeah, I'm just curious, and you may or may not know anything about this. So if you can't talk on it, don't. So we obviously, because I know you report on, I think I actually used your story when I covered it on TikTok. We know about the letter that was found where Roberta offered a shovel, right? So obviously, in a civil suit, there's no arrest, there's no criminal charges. Are they talking about, or have you heard anything where they're looking at maybe looking at criminal charges on her for that? Has that been discussed at all that you know of?
So this letter was collected by the FBI. We know the letter exists, and I'll get people kind of caught up. This letter that exists, Roberta wrote this letter. It is a real thing, and she wrote it to Brian. That's what's been confirmed by both sides. How this letter is interpreted is really what's up for debate. But the letter was in the evidence of the FBI. They had it. They probably examined it thoroughly to a painstaking degree. If they felt that there was a crime committed upon reviewing that evidence, they would have proceeded with charges. And that's why when I talked to Steve Bertolino about it, he told me, JB, there's no date on it. There's no date. He said, and he makes the claim, of course, that that it predates everything, that it's not connected to Gabby Petito, and that, of course, has raised some eyebrows online. All right, so my cat is eating the French fries now. That's the update. This has raised some eyebrows online because we know that the letter contains details of a shovel and burying a body. And that's kind of that's not exactly the type of letter you get over Christmas. Getting a letter from your mom and it talking about a body and talking about a shovel and burying a body with a shovel is a pretty that's alarming subject matter. And so as to whether or not it pertains, look, if it is presented in the lawsuit, we'll all get a better idea as to what it is. We might even get it sooner. Look, there's a chance that letter might come out in the weeks ahead. If the FOIA request comes back and it's part of the FOIA request as we expect, and it's federal evidence that was gathered and then part of this federal evidence dump, that letter might be part of it. It could very well be part of it. And we might know that even, many months before trial actually takes place.
That would be interesting. Well, I can't wait for that to happen because it'll be great to see specifically Roberta Laundrie have her day in court. I know that I spoke with I'm mutuals on here with Rose Davis, who I'm sure you know the name, was Gabby's best friend, and even she believes that Chris Laundrie is a victim of Roberta. So that's her personal opinion. I know you can't probably speak on that, but I
can't. You said that she's in the chat, or she's messaged you?
No, she's not in the chat now, but her and I are friends on here. We've done several lives together. I met
Rose. Like a year and a half ago. I met her in person. So I'm familiar with her. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, yes, she's not in the chat now, but when we were on the last live that we did together, I asked her to come on and talk about, because at the time, with these cases, rumors fly, right? People have opinions I don't know where they get the information that they think they know, but they find it somewhere. And people kept accusing Rose of being involved with this. And this is, a 21-year-old girl who just lost her best friend. See, I just lost my light. Look at that.
I jinxed you.
Oh my God, that's way too bright. Hold please. And I said, hey, look, could you come on? Because, I want to talk about like the dangers of accusing people with no evidence, with no merit, and what that can do to affect, people's lives. Because, she was called a murderer. People started coming after her father. And even when we were on live together, and this is like maybe 2 weeks ago, somebody came onto her side and called her a murderer even still. And so I was like, let's talk about that, because people were accusing the roommates, Dylan and Bethany, of being involved. And I'm like, look, we don't know what we don't know at this point. There, Moscow's keeping it really close to close to the chest. We don't know what's going on. So maybe don't jump to conclusions till you know more. And so that was kind of the discussion that we had about it. So, it's kind of, as you know, it's kind of a problem with these types of things. And these are young people who have all experienced something absolutely horrific and traumatic. And so why add, threats of violence and accusations that are unfounded to that?
It's the dark side of social media,
It is.
and the way that these cases get interpreted. And this is something that I know that I wanted to talk about with you on stream, on this particular live. Folks, be really careful of the channels that you follow. And I'm alongside Justin here. I think that Justin does a really good job of following reputable sources and doing so, being a responsible content creator.
You're saying that because I follow you. That's why.
What's that?
That you're saying that because I follow you as well. Kidding.
I'll say this. I think that some of the places that are less reputable as far as being a trusted news source, and I don't want to come down on TikTok as a platform, because there are some great creators like Justin, who do great work on TikTok as far as trying to be a reliable source of information. But the people that claim to be reliable and claim to be reputable source of information, sometimes aren't, and sometimes they think that they have it right, but they don't. They don't. And I've seen it way too much. I might be new to TikTok as a creator, but I am not new to TikTok as a consumer of news, as somebody who receives news content on this platform. And it is alarming to see oftentimes how news stories can get twisted and misinterpreted, and some people might, throw up an article behind them with the green screen effect and say, oh, this is what the article says. I've seen examples where they'll say, oh, this is what the article says. And that's not what the article says.
But it's the Sun also, or it's something like the Sun.
Right.
Who gets it right 20% of the time.
So. Yeah, we are in such a dangerous era for for content creation, because somebody who has a gajillion followers on TikTok doesn't make them reputable. It just means that they have a lot of followers on TikTok, but that doesn't make them reliable. True. So people have to be really, I'm not going to, make this into a massive lecture about, oh, follow me and Justin. But this is like a PSA. I want people to really ask, when they receive content from people, really, really ask yourself, who am I getting this from? Where is this coming from? What report is being sourced? Where is the attribution? And should I really believe what I'm hearing or seeing? Because news can get like a game of telephone, can get passed along, misconstrued, misinterpreted, and then before you know it, you have something very dangerous on your hand, and that's misinformation. Speculation will get misinterpreted as fact, and then you have people like Rose's family, people like families and the roommates in the Idaho case, innocent people who are being bombarded with attacks and threats and theories, and it's dangerous. It's really dangerous, people. You're talking about people's lives here, and so we have to be responsible. And it's a two-way street, man. It's not just us creators here. It's not just the people responsible for publishing content. It's also you, because if you share content that is inaccurate, you're part of the problem. You're part of the problem. So you really have to be careful about what you share, what you even clicking a like button means that you're supporting something that might have inaccurate information in it. And you really got to be careful. Really got to be careful about what you click the like button for, comment on, or share /retweet /distribute.
And I'll go a little further on what you said. One of the things I think is a great problem is, like you said, they'll green screen an article behind them, and they'll say something based on the headline, because people don't read the articles. They read, these sensationalized headlines. And there are certain affiliates or networks, I should say, that are really bad about like, this is what the headline says, and then you read the article itself and it's completely different. It's just kind of clickbait. But when people just see that article, the headline up there behind them, like, oh well, this is real. So that in and of itself is dangerous because people want to consume their news very quickly. They don't want to sit there and read a 20-minute, 10-minute article. So that's kind of what I try to do here. Like even I'll take something like if I watch Banfield, for example, I'll take an hour of Banfield and condense it down to 3 minutes. So that's kind of what at least I try to do. And it's weird with TikTok too because when the Queen died, I was immediately I have this weird thing with notable deaths. It's a very weird thing that I do. But
What do you mean?
So I'll give you a little background on me. I was raised, which is why I got into the Gabby case as well. I was raised by a very narcissistic mother, basically. But one of the things, and her and I have been no contact for 4 years now. And one thing that I used to do with her when somebody famous died, I'd call her, like, Mom, guess who died? And I can't do that anymore. So I was like, so I took it to TikTok. And so I have this notable death thing where I'll do a video if somebody dies. But when the Queen died, I put it up on live. I did a video and put it up on live. And people were kind of like, I can't believe that I'm hearing about the Queen dying first on TikTok. Like several people said that. So it's really, you have to take, like kind of like you were saying, you have to take that, at least I do, that responsibility very seriously.
Yeah, and you want to do the story justice, and you want to make sure that you're doing right by the people that are connected to these stories. So I will share that I have done live streams on well, really just one live stream. I did a live stream when the Queen passed, and I might as well have been speaking in Chinese because. The Royals, that's not my wheelhouse, guys. It's not my wheelhouse, but I have to do the stories in which I am assigned. And I was assigned that story. And if you were looking for a really ignorant American newscaster to do that coverage, you're looking at him. You could probably watch that back and be like, oh, God, JD really had no idea what the hell he was talking about.
I have to go find it. You're saying that. But I don't think, here's the thing, you're not alone. As Americans, we're all, we like to romanticize the royal family, but we know nothing. None of us know anything.
we don't. Well, I think that there's some royal diehards out there that
there are,
but you don't know it unless like you really fully understand it and how it's ingrained into the culture over there. Unless you grew up in it and you really understood it.
And even then, a lot of them don't.
Yeah, Abby says I'll have to go look for it. Yeah, you're gonna find me like speaking, like saying a sentence and then stopping halfway through the sentence because I'm like, wait, I don't know how to finish this sentence. I have no idea what I'm talking about. And to know, I hope that people don't take this as disrespect to the Queen. I did my very best to do that cover. We brought on people. I told my bosses, I said, I don't know the Royals. That's just not my thing. It's just not what I cover. And he said, look, we're gonna get you people. We're gonna get you guests. Just talk. Do what you do. Talk. Just keep talking. And I did. And so, yeah, that's look. If you can't laugh at yourself, sometimes you can't admit your own faults and your own flaws. Then you're just lying to yourself. That's how I look at
it. They are itching to talk about Idaho.
Okay.
They are just like, I don't know how many. I've seen so many. So do you want? We can go there. What questions do y'all have? And how many people do you have on your side, if you don't mind my asking?
What do you mean? Oh, in the top right here,
yeah,
226.
Okay, so he's got 226 versus 800. So if you have any specific questions, you might want to jump to his side too, because they might be seen because it scrolls real quickly here. So you can jump to his side. But if you go to his side, here's the deal. If you go to his side and you don't already follow him, you have to follow him, or he's not allowed to ask questions.
I see what you're doing there, Justin. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah. So wait. So what you're saying is that I can only see questions that are on mine. I'm not seeing. I'm not seeing the chat on your channel.
No, you're not. And now there was a way that which I was talking about in text. There was a way that we could have done it, but it would have put you in a very tiny little box, and I felt that you deserved better than a tiny little box.
Oh, thank you.
So I figured you deserved at least equal representation. So this was the easiest way, and then people can jump over to your. They can jump between the two if they want. They're not going to miss anything, but they can jump to yours, easily follow you, and then ask questions or what have you. So it would be nice if TikTok got to a point where if you did something like this, you could have a single chat.
Yeah.
Um, so
I'm looking here. Xana's mom is on in 10 minutes on News Nation. Wow. How about that for a plug for News Nation?
I know.
With Ashley Banfield. Wow. Ashley just does such tremendous work. And I'm going to rat on you, by the way. I'm going to tell her that you're condensing her show. I'm going to text Ashley Banfield and let her know that you're condensing her show down to 3 minutes.
Please feel free to do so. I'm happy. She can come after me all she wants on that. She can have me come on the show, and I'll be happy to. But no, I do. I take because I love her stuff. She's great. She really is. But she's got to fill an hour. So sometimes there's a little bit of fluff. But you know how it is.
That's the news business. That's the TV business. I'm more on the digital side now. I do still do TV work, but TV's just totally different. Different ballgame. I like the freedom that streaming provides, but yeah, I'm really interested to hear from Xana's mother, just because anything that she says is going to be that's going to be heartbreaking. It's just going to be heartbreaking, and Ashley is an expert interviewer, so I believe that I'll share the first. As we talk about expert interviewers, I know we're going to talk about Idaho in a second, but I'll share a fun fact that I haven't ever mentioned on stream ever before. The very first celebrity that I ever interviewed was Barbara Walters.
Really?
And and she and Barbara just passed away. And I will never be able to articulate how nervous I was interviewing the person who invented interviewing. When I tell you that I was terrified beyond comprehension, and so rest in peace, Barbara Walters. I was so heartbroken by that news because I remember I was in college. I was a college student, and I interviewed Barbara Walters, scared out of my mind, and she had some really kind words to say to me, and so Ashley Banfield is a modern day example of a really strong interviewer. And so I'm sure that she will do a great job with Xana as she always does.
Yeah, I think wasn't Murphy Brown also based off of Barbara Walters in the 80s?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah,
I think so too. Yeah, she was a legend. When she passed away, I did a video on her, and there was a lot of hate on her, but you know what? That's she broke into something that women didn't do at the time. So.
Yeah, Barbara's a legend, and so it was I was very sad to hear that she had passed. I think that her and I we might have exchanged letters back then because I was so inspired by her. She was such a hero of mine, and so. But anyway, back to Idaho. That's a big deal. I mean, do you have to get off the stream then?
No, I don't have to. I can always stream it. I'm not going to kick you for Banfield. I'm not going to. No.
It's very kind. I feel honored that. Hey, can we run a poll? Would you rather see Ashley Banfield or me? I think I would lose, but that's very kind of you.
That's why I'm not going to run the poll. But Banfield will restream at 11 or something like that. So or 12, so I can always stay up and stream it then if I needed to.
Yeah, I forget what the calendar, the schedule is these days, but yeah.
It's that News Nation kind of just cycles around, but as far as Idaho goes, so what are your thoughts up to now? Where do things go from here?
Wow. I was a little bit surprised that there was going to be that much of a gap between now and that pre-trial hearing, the next pretrial hearing, and only because that's usually the gap that you see before trial, and so I'm not familiar with Idaho law, and I still don't know how standard that is. I was looking forward to us getting a speedy trial and us getting closer to the evidence getting introduced in a court of law. And so I can't really share. Here's the thing, it's so funny. People always ask for my opinion, and I'm really flattered by that all the time. You know how many questions and comments I get or messages? JB, did he do it? Or JB, is this person guilty? Tell us what you think. And
It's big of a liability to do that.
maybe one day I'll write a book and I'll go over all the cases of what I really thought. But as people in journalism, we have to compartmentalize. And so I have this section of my brain where I don't really actively acknowledge that section of my brain about whether or not I think a person did it or not. I'm just so solely focused on coverage. So I can't really answer as to whether or not, regarding Koberger and I'm innocent until proven guilty. That is, try to be a poster child for that. And we talked about it on stream today about how people are, rushing. In a lot of cases, there's this rush to convict people based on the publication of a mugshot and even a probable cause affidavit. Yeah. But if a person pleads not guilty, they deserve to have their day in court and prove as to why they're not guilty. And that's why innocent until proven guilty is such a powerful thing. So as far as my other thoughts about Idaho, I don't really know what questions that people would like me to answer. I'll look here in the chat. But guys, I can't, it would be against what I believe in my heart is the right thing to do I can't speculate. I will talk about it in a way that is, as I say, rooted in reality, but I can't really form an opinion if that makes sense.
Okay. And they're giving some questions. And for those of y'all who are asking about Banfield, sorry, JB. Those of y'all who are asking about Banfield, my lovely wife is DVRing it or whatever the modern day equivalent DVR is, so we can watch it after, guys. I promise. Okay.
I'm not offended. That's a great show, and it's obviously it's a big deal to have Xana's mom on. So
yeah, I stream it almost every night for them as this has been going on, and because a lot of people can't get it, so I have a lot of people who follow from like Australia. So and even now I think you have the Aussies are really into American crime.
Are they?
You probably have a lot more Australians than you think you do, believe it or not.
I know that there's the analytics that we have shows us that we have a really great. Anybody here from the UK? If you're actually from the UK in our chat right now, throw up some UK flags in our comment section. But don't lie. Don't lie. I want to see
for the fun of it, dude. Mine too. Well, here's what I'll say while we're waiting for them to throw up flags. What I find very interesting is, I'll say this. I came on at the beginning of we got a few. I had to have a Canadian flag that came up, and then an Australian, Western Australian. But when everything first started, I was like, look, I think this case is going to go cold. I said, I think that we have Mayberry running this case. I mean, I said this all on live, and I definitely retracted it. I was like, but I wasn't mad at them for it. I was like, look, this is a town that hasn't had a homicide in 7 years. Like, this is just like, why would they have the funding and everything to handle this? Because it's just not really an issue for them. And I was clearly wrong because they were working their butts off, apparently. And they honed in on Brian Koberger, who was on nobody's radar, at all. But what gets me about it is he, when if you probably remember this, when Chief Fry did that like initial conference after the arrest, he didn't say allegedly. He said, we got the guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that, it was a slip or whatever, but
No, that's actually pretty standard, Justin. When investigators pour so much effort into that case and they make an arrest, they're going to look into that camera and they're going to say, we have our guy.
Right.
Because and from a public perspective, if they leave any doubt, let's just say that's not something that is going to go over well with the public at large. People want certainty. And so police are going to proceed with an arrest when they feel certain about it. Here's a great example. the Cassie Carly case. The Cassie Carly case has been way slower than the Idaho case, and we have a suspect in that case, but not a murder suspect because he doesn't face murder charges, and they haven't proceeded to murder charges, to the great frustration of many, including Cassie Carly's family and her sister Rayanne especially. But they haven't proceeded to murder charges because they don't have what they feel is necessary to prove in a court of law beyond a reasonable doubt to escalate the charges to murder. So if they feel like they have the concrete evidence for this to be proven in a court of law, you're going to get Chief Fry looking into the camera and saying, we have our guy. This is it. There's no other suspects. We know he did it. And they're going to speak with a high level of confidence, borderline certainty that they have their person. Because really that's how law enforcement operates. It's their job to get the guy, and then it's the job of the district attorney's office, prosecutors, to then prosecute and prosecute the charges as they've been filed. So I wasn't really all that surprised by that. But what's interesting is that we've got a long way to go till trial. And Brian Kohberger and his defense, they have a long time to review the evidence and formulate a defense. And for Brian, if Brian is innocent, for him to prove his innocence and clear his name. I mean, that's how our legal system works, and people want to believe that he is guilty. And I totally understand that. But again, that our legal system it's the bedrock of how we maintain the law of the land in this country. And it's important that people remember that Brian Kohberger deserves his day in court, unless, of course, he confesses, he pleads guilty, and then, of course, it's a little bit of a different story. But we got some time now between now and trial, and it'll be very interesting to see exactly what defense he formulates, especially considering, let's not forget, this is somebody who has spent the last several years of his life, is really most of his adult life, studying criminal justice. And so exactly how this takes shape is going to be very, very interesting.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I'll go back to what you're talking about as far as the innocent proven guilty. Obviously, yes, I know that's what we have. That's what we uphold, and it's very important that we uphold it. Absolutely. But I've never seen a 19-page probable cause affidavit. That's one. And two, it's my understanding, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, obviously, but it's my understanding that for them to be able to, it's one thing to get a warrant for arrest. It's another thing to get a no-knock warrant with basically SWAT to go in at your house. And you have to have not just good evidence, you have to have very, very compelling evidence to do what they did. So it makes me, obviously they've kept things very, very tight-lipped, but I'm very interested to see. I mean, a lot of stuff has been leaking out, which is also a concern for different reasons, because if he is the guy, you don't want something that's going to jeopardize that. Because I think that kind of like South Carolina, when it's time to call a jury, like, when they say, okay, have you heard of this case? Stand up. Heard about it, read about it. I think everybody's going to stand up in Idaho as well. So just like they did.
Just like with Murdoch, yeah.
Yeah. I know that the first 250 stand up. You might know this better. Did pretty much all 900 when they were done end up standing up? Did they all know about it?
That's how it's in essence been reported. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That good luck finding someone in South Carolina that is unfamiliar with this story. I don't think that people outside of the Carolinas, outside of Georgia, really, the southeastern United States, I don't think that people really understand the magnitude of this story.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that a lot of people are still really honed in on Idaho, and I get it. We're talking about four young lives that were taken in brutal fashion in the middle of the night, or really the early morning hours of that November 13th. I understand it, but I think when people really start to do more research, they will realize the magnitude and the impact of this story in relation to the Murdoch family. I think you used a good word, this dynasty that has been established with his family in public office, and now Alex being in the private sector, carrying out most of his career doing so as an attorney with his firm. It's just, this is somebody this is somebody who represents a family who they have had a stranglehold on the legal,
Yeah.
or accused of having a stranglehold over the legal system in South Carolina for not for years, but for decades.
Yeah, for pretty much a century. And it's my understanding, because I have very good friends that live in, or they used to live in Aiken, South Carolina, which is very close to Columbia. Now they've moved to North Augusta, South Carolina. But basically, when I talked to them about this case, they're obsessed with it because they're in that part of the world. But it's my understanding that if even now, I guess, but even generations ago, if you disagreed with the Murdochs, you somehow slighted the Murdochs, you would disappear. You find yourself in jail. You find yourself out of a job. They would literally go out of their way to destroy you. And you go back to the earlier part of the show.
Allegedly, but like, but
Allegedly.
if you talk to people in South Carolina, that is the facts of to them, because they live in that community.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, they do not have a very good reputation in a lot of circles in South Carolina.
Yeah, and I actually have somebody in my chat now who we're probably, when I get back home, I'm going to have her on because she lives in South Carolina. But when she does it, she doesn't even want to show her face doing it because she lives there. And I mean, there's such a fear. I mean, I think that's what I'm saying. People don't really grasp the magnitude, like you said. Like, they're basically like a Southern mafia without the same pull that you have like in New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania. They hold a lot of power, and even
what
if, oh, go ahead, sorry.
No, I was going to say, and what accentuates that so much, Justin, is the wealth gap that exists in the low country of South Carolina. This is a family that had no problems with money, and were living in the same area as people, in trailers, in really humble in humble abodes, if you will. And it's really sad, because you're talking about, in essence, the way that you could portray it is just I don't even want to say that. I just want to say there's just an enormous wealth gap that exists between Alex Murdaugh and some of the people that live really, I mean, right there in the same county as him.
Yeah, the vast majority of it, and they like their power. And the thing is, even if he goes to jail, there's other Murdochs still out there. So Buster's still out there. So it's that's why they're also, they're kind of afraid. In fact, a lot of people have said today, I had a few people say it, like, I'd be afraid to be on that jury, because if he does go down for this, then there's a chance that, they're worried, I guess, that one of the other Murdochs is going to come after him. So, and I guess based on, I don't live down there. I only know, kind of like you do. I got into it a little bit later and know what we know, but people are scared of them. They're scared of this family.
So. Sure, this is to a lot of people, this is a family that has ruled through fear, and that is their opinion, and they know better than most because of where they live, and how tremendous that name and the weight that it carries, the Murdaugh name carries in the Low Country, the really those 5 counties in rural South Carolina. So, it's a story that you go down the rabbit hole, and you think that you're at the bottom, and then you realize that you've barely scratched the surface. It's wild. So yeah, if there's any specific, I'm saying hi to people, and I did not know that we had 2 different comment sections going into this. So I'm saying hi to people on my comment section, and saying, somebody just said that they left Peter Tragos's live there on Peter Tragos, the lawyer, a buddy of mine, who just wrapped up his live, and saying hello to people who might have joined from over there. So hello.
What do they want me to ask about your thoughts on? I mean, I think I can speak to this, but I'll let you do it. Your thoughts on Ann Taylor switching, dropping Kara Kernodle, and having only Brian as a client. I mean, I think I know the answer, but I'll let you.
I don't want to. Yeah, I mean,
you want me to do it?
Why don't you start? Because why don't you begin with that?
Okay, if I'm wrong, you tell me. Okay.
Okay.
I think part of the reason that you had to switch, or she had to drop Xana's mom, as a client was because I believe that Ann Taylor is, and I could be wrong on this, is the only, if not one of the only, attorneys, public defenders that can try a death penalty case. I could be wrong on that. I've heard that a bunch, so I think that that's the case.
Yeah, and I'll have to really, I don't want to misspeak. And I think that that is a very interesting development that has occurred. Um, and really, yeah, so it's hard to answer without speculating when I haven't actually really dug into what the what the answer is. But also too that is a question that perhaps is best for an attorney. I mean, really, and not even just an attorney, but someone who really understands Idaho law. But yeah, it's hard for me to comment on it without I want to stay in my lane. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I get that. I'm getting all sorts of numbers like 1 in 4, 1 in 13, 1 in 12. There's only like a handful of attorneys apparently in Idaho. But also, Idaho has a very small population. So, compared to a lot of other places in the country.
Yeah, I think that that's a really big. I think that's a big part of it. I think that's also something that we forget when we're talking about Idaho. And we're talking about the size of Moscow and the county. I just that's probably that our commenters are probably close to why that is. I think that they're probably at least on the right track, so to speak.
And yeah, I think that you would also, if nothing else, I think is that this is a quadruple homicide plus felony burglary. Ann Taylor's not. I mean, yeah, she's a public defender, but she's legit. She's got a good track record. She's a good attorney, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the coming months on that. I was kind of surprised too, though, going back to what you said earlier about the speedy trial, that he waived his right to that. Like, I understand, he wants time to build a defense, but for somebody who's screaming that, not really screaming, but saying that he's innocent, you think that he wouldn't want to sit in jail, 6 more months if he didn't have to. If he was, again, this is just my thoughts. I'm just thinking out loud here.
Well, but at the same time, he doesn't want to spend the rest of his life in prison. So if it's 6 months to prepare his defense, I mean, I guess I get it. I would rather sit in a jail cell for 6 months, have a chance to best defend myself rather than. And again, the gap in time is not what just the fact that preliminary hearing ahead of trial, that the gap between now and then for that, and also too how unorthodox it is that I think it's on the docket for like 4 to 5 days. That hearing is almost gonna be like I don't want to say like, it's kind of like a mini trial because it's going to be over the course of really what could be the entirety of a week. And so that to me is a little, it's just a little bit strange. It's not something that I'm used to as far as the gap between, the gap between his initial court appearances and then this preliminary hearing that is going to be taking place, in June. That gap usually exists when the preliminary hearings are done, and that 6 month gap, if you will, I feel that that's usually more standard ahead of trial.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and I've asked this question: does that mean that we're going to get that there's going to be this discovery process when we actually get this hearing in June, and then we're going to have to wait another 6 months? Are we talking about like a Christmas trial? And as it's been told to me, that's probably not going to be the case. But people want justice for the Idaho 4. They do. They want justice, and the wait is for some it's really difficult because of how people are impacted by these stories. They want answers, and they want to know, they want resolution, and it's hard to blame them when you're talking about, think of the families, right? They want justice, and so waiting all of this time for the next pre-trial hearing is something that's, I think, for some a very difficult pill to swallow.
I mean, and you may know the answer to this. I've heard, and somebody asked about this, so that's why I'm bringing it up.
Yep.
There's been talk that maybe the prosecution might bring up a grand jury option. Have you heard that is that just a rumor? Have you heard that they're actually considering that?
I have not heard it. I have
Okay.
not.
I know I've seen a couple
Um,
articles on it, and I know they've talked about that basically. And it would be, that way Dylan would have to, the roommate would only have to, interview with the prosecution, the state basically.
I,
Um,
I can't report on it independently. I have not heard it.
yeah,
Understand that it's out there, but yeah, I can't
yeah,
verify or say it's true or not.
that's totally fair. I respect that. It's interesting. So it's,
Yeah.
I'm interested to see what happens. I was thinking the same thing as you, though, as far as the 5-day preliminary trial. I guess what they want to do is get as much information as they can to try to get it either dismissed, which I'm sure is what ideally they'd like to do, to try to exonerate him and get it dismissed at that point. I don't think it would. I don't think actually probably not. They wouldn't dismiss it. I don't think, but maybe get him out on bail or something like that. Maybe that's what they're going for.
I,
I
I
know we
I don't
speculation.
yeah, I don't know if there's any chance, given the nature of the charges, that he
Yeah.
is going to be out at any time before trial begins. I don't think that that's a very realistic possibility, given the accusations and how heinous they are. But yeah, look, uh, there is more. Idaho is a massive story, but also too, if we were still dealing with pretrial hearings, it would also be very difficult. And this does happen from time to time when there are multiple major court cases going on at once. But it would be very difficult, and there are cases going on right now that are absolutely wild, that are taking place on YouTube and on various channels of the internet. But yes, it would be very difficult for journalists like myself to simultaneously cover what's going on in Idaho and what's going on with the Murdoch trial. And look, like, okay, so just like Brian Enton, myself, others, it's difficult to be in two places at once, whether it be virtually or boots on the ground. So right now, yeah, like, Murdoch is really a focus. There will be developments in Idaho. There's no doubt that that story is still absolutely massive, and things will trickle out. Just like we might get some tremendous insight from Xana's mom, or it might already be happening now that it's 17 past the hour. But um, it also becomes tremendously difficult for us as journalists to cover multiple court cases at once. It's nearly impossible. If you're Brian Enton, which courtroom are you going to be in? If it was Brian Enton, I think they would have him in Idaho. But at the same time, if it was a relatively routine pretrial hearing, they might have Enton, at in South Carolina, and have another News Nation correspondent, very talented crew of correspondents over there, somebody else over in Idaho. So it really depends. But these are some of the hard decisions that we make behind the scenes in news. People ask me all the time, JB, why aren't you covering this story? JB, why aren't you looking at this? And it's not that I'm not. It's that we all have people that we report to, and I get assigned stories just like any journalist does.
Yeah.
Freelancers get to decide the stories that they want to cover. When you work at a place, I work at an NBC affiliate, and I work for a company by the name of Nexstar. I have, of course, people that I report to, as most of us do, and I receive assignments. So I try to do my very best by people. I try to juggle what people want and present that to the people that I report to. And I see Amy's in our comment section saying, as a former news producer, it's so tricky with the upside down smiley face emoji. And yeah, I feel like that all the time. It's difficult because you want to report on every story, but you can't. And we try our very best, but it's impossible to get to them all. And that's why there's a lot of other reporters out there. I am one of many great. I don't want to say, like, call myself a great reporter, but there are great other reporters out there, if you know what I mean. That's what I'm trying to get at. And so they deserve your follows too, folks. I'm a big supporter of local journalism, and I, as a local journalist, have gotten a lot of followers, and whether it's Twitter or Instagram, whatever it may be. But there's some other really great local news reporters out there that don't get nearly enough follows or nearly enough credit. And go wherever you live, go look up who your local reporters are. As I wear this funny mask, as I go on my soapbox about local journalism. But go follow some of your local reporters. They're looking out for your community. They deserve your follows. They deserve your appreciation because they work really hard. And so I'll leave it at that.
Well, I want to say this in regard to Brian Enton. If there was Murdoch and Idaho going on at the same time, he would be at both because he's Santa Claus, and somehow he is always everywhere.
Who'd you say
Brian
Santa Claus?
Hinton.
Yeah, no, yeah,
He, that's what I'm saying. If you had Idaho and Murdoch going on at the same time, he would somehow be at both.
yeah. They well, the secret is that News Nation just cloned him, and he's just all over the place. I talked to Brian. I like Brian. Brian is somebody who works really hard. I don't think that people understand when it comes to the news business the sacrifices that journalists make. Brian lives on the road now. Him getting back to his dogs in South Florida is a big deal for him because he is constantly on the road. He makes sacrifices in his personal life, as do many journalists. I make sacrifices in a different way, and it's not about that, but it's about how sometimes that's what you do. It comes to the territory of the job that you do, and so Brian is very dedicated. He does a great job.
And somebody in here just said he talked about how he beat Koberger back to Idaho. And look, that's not necessarily a bragging point. That plane that Koberger was on was going so incredibly slow. I could have probably walked to Idaho from Tennessee and still beaten Koberger there. So
yeah, that was a wild night. I remember.
It
Yeah,
was
absolutely wild.
It was. They want to know if you ever sleep too.
What's that?
We know that Brian Inton doesn't sleep. They want to know if you sleep.
I haven't slept a whole lot lately because I'm studying Murdoch. Do I sleep? I do sleep. My wife can attest to that. I sleep. It can be hard. It can be hard at times. And I will tell you, there's nothing more frustrating when you do extended coverage for let's say sometimes like during Gabby Petito, and then you go home and you can't sleep. You can't sleep because you're so wired into something, and you run through a million things in your mind, but it can be really hard to sleep sometimes. But when you do, it is glorious. You don't want to get out of bed. You're like, my God, this is what rest is like. How wonderful. Is this what it's like for some other people in the world? And yeah, so but people are so kind in their comments that make that really does matter. When the internet is a place that can be really filled with nastiness. But when people say that you make a difference to them, that there is no better feeling. I mean that. And so the best part of my job is engaging with people. Justin, I'm sure you could talk. It's the same for you. When people that you've never met, strangers, talk to you in such a kind fashion because they appreciate you. It's a feeling that is really hard to put into words. And I know other content creators feel the same. And I just want to say, look, the love goes right back. If I streamed to nobody, I would not have a job. So the love is so mutual. It's insane. So guys, even people following me right now, it's 9:00. No, 10, almost 10:30 Eastern time, and there are people that are up right now on their phones watching us for a good conversation, and that means so much to me, you guys. You have no idea how much that means to me, and so thank you. I don't know. I don't know when people are going to get out their pitchforks and demand that Justin stream Ashley Banfield. I'll stick around as long as you guys want me to tell you the truth. I have my two cats that are right here next to me. I'm in good company. I'll stay here with you guys as live as you'd like and talk with you. It can be about stories. It can be about fun. It can be about behind the scenes of the news industry. Justin, if you have any questions, I might interview you at some point. Whatever you'd like.
Know what I don't know. The thing is, I do this. I kind of fell into this. Like, even when I first went viral, like that was nothing I was looking for. It just kind of accidentally happened, and I'm grateful for it because it gives me a platform, and I try to use this platform for good. And now it's grown exponentially. I'm like at 521,000 and change or something like that. But and I'm grateful for it. But I would love to do this kind of thing full time, but unfortunately, TikTok doesn't doesn't give their creators enough, on that. But that's why I'm kind of starting to go towards YouTube. Is maybe I can get to a point where
Good.
that. But
I hope you do. As I understand it, it's a better platform to for creators to get compensated. And there's people don't understand how much work Justin does to get his content created. And I know because I'm a content creator. And so just because I work at a TV station doesn't mean that I have immense resources. And it's not that simple. Content creators that you have no idea how much work goes in behind the scenes for them to be able to do the content that they do. So they deserve to be fairly compensated. And I can only hope that YouTube does you right, Justin, and hopefully TikTok at some point too.
Yeah, me too. You did go. I want to go back to something you said earlier because I just thought about this, talking about following, different news people, local news people. I I discovered during the Murdoch thing Fitz News, who I never heard of before. I don't know if you know Fitz News.
No, I'm not familiar with Fitz. What is? I'll look it up. So I got my computer here. How do you spell it? Like Fit?
FITS News. I started following them on Twitter, I think, and then started going to their site. But they're a South Carolina news station, and they have been phenomenal with coverage of this.
Wow.
So okay, well, I taught you one, so that's good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say that's great, and I agree with you because there are some great journalists out there, and I'm glad that I know that. So do you still do anything on TV itself anymore, or have you gone strictly to the digital platform?
They try to get me on TV a lot, and it's difficult because it's a completely different beast, and TV is very structured.
Yeah.
And live streaming is very raw, and they're very different. And so I try to be as accessible as possible to the stream audience out there. And then I have everyone's got bosses, right? My bosses are like, no, you need to be doing TV more, and then I'll do more TV. And then they're like, no, you need to be doing more streaming. And people that have bosses, they know that you can never make your boss completely happy, right? So I do, yeah, I'm on the airwaves here in Tampa. I do segments on there. It's very different. I'll go on stream for 90 minutes and that would be a short stream in certain respects. On television, I'll get 90 seconds, and I have to condense what I did in the 90 minutes on a live stream down to 90 seconds, and it's very difficult. But I enjoy being cross-platform in that way.
So I could do that though. I could take your 90-minute segment and condense it down to 90 seconds.
I'm gonna hire. You're hired.
Hired. Done. I would
come work at WFLA. You could condense to your heart's consent.
I totally moved to Tampa. I would. So
don't worry. You'd be joining. The entire world is moving down here to Tampa.
We got a lot coming to Nashville too. So it's been. I mean, but it's not Florida. But yeah, no, you guys are getting a lot more. But Nashville has grown.
That's why Nashville's great. I've been in Nashville.
Yeah, I live in Nashville. So yeah, it's grown exponentially. So okay, well, I'll ask you this then. So whenever you're on digital platforms, your setup is phenomenal. What are you using?
I use OBS. I love OBS. But I have taken so OBS for people unfamiliar, that it's a live streaming platform, and it's the most powerful thing about OBS is that it's open source. The OBS project is unbelievable because they have given content creators such a incredible platform to mold and manipulate to ways that works for them. And OBS was originally created to give video gamers the ability to stream video game content. But what they really didn't realize is that the genius behind their work was that it's used now for church live streaming. It's used now in the education space and in classrooms across the country, and it has now permeated the news space. And so it's a tremendous platform. But my version of OBS has been transformed dramatically to make my job simpler, as far as it being a news platform and not being something that you would use for video game streaming. But it's extremely powerful software. It's great, and the Stream Center is really like a temple, if you will, in a weird way, to what OBS has enabled content creators to do. And that's a very interesting question because people don't ever really ask about how I stream. But yeah, OBS is tremendous, and it makes my job a lot easier.
Yeah, it's great. I always see it like, man, well, I wonder what he has, because I'm kind of jealous of it. But I recently started StreamYards, at least for YouTube, which I'm liking so far, but it's for now. But my setup is just so terrible. I'm so at my house. I have we have a theater, because I also have a 3.5-year-old who is, we'll say she's boisterous, is what she
Okay.
is, and she can be a little loud sometimes. So I go in there, but like we have a desk, like an iMac desktop, which I have now, like I'm porting up the stairs to take and put it on a rolling little table. My wife's like, "You're going to break this thing." And I'm like, this is what I have, though. This is what I have to do. Because then I also have a giant screen where I can put anything up on it that I want, but I have to like flip my camera. So it's a little janky, but it is what it is.
Well,
You
if
know.
I'm ever by your neck of the woods, that actually is really my forte is building streaming setups. I actually so kind of an odd story. I actually my station flew me to Chicago to News Nation. It's actually I think it's on my Instagram story. It's on my highlights. But way back when,
Oh, no.
News,
There, you back.
yeah, my I got a notification. But News Nation flew me out to Chicago multiple times to help build their live streaming platform, and that's really when people I think um, they see the work that I do. They are more familiar with my on-camera stuff, but that's uh, I'm being honest, and this isn't about being like cocky or arrogant. Where my real talent lies is building things, is building streaming setups. I'm a massive dork, I'm a huge nerd, and
What
so
what what's a
um,
that look like for something like that? Like, I mean, obviously not News Nation, but if you were going to build something for somebody like myself, what would the budget be on something like that? Like, what
oh
would
well, that's the thing is that it could be extremely affordable, or you could look. There are content creators that will put tens of thousands, if not $100,000 plus into their streaming setups. It's what you want to spend. Some people will go crazy with LED lighting, and some people will go crazy with the most advanced microphones known to man. But really, what people don't really understand about content creation is you could spend $1 million on a studio. Nothing's gonna fix if your content stinks. It starts with you and your mission and the content that you create and how it resonates with people. And the big word to me when it comes to content creation, and I've provided some guidance and some advice to other interactive journalists. I have trained and been asked to train. It's super flattering to talk about, but like I've been asked to train other interactive journalists because I'm widely recognized as being somebody who is helping carve a path for the future of interactive journalism, which is really where my heart is as far as the work that I do. And so I've been asked by other stations to train what they have hired to be interactive journalists. And the key word that I tell them, the number one thing that you want to be in this business is yes, you want to be fact based. Yes, you always want to be accurate. These are super important things. But as far as being a content creator, you want to be memorable. That is the word. You want to resonate with people to where you have uh, be established a place in their minds where you are memorable and people remember you. If you create content, it goes in one ear, out the other, and people never remember who you are or what you have done, then they won't come back and follow you. And so being memorable is your most powerful asset. And you do not get to 500,000 followers on TikTok, Justin, if you are not memorable. So it's a quality that really exists um, for content creators, and it's kind of the secret sauce, if you will, how you really grow a channel, how you build a brand, and how you get people to come back and visit you again. It's about being memorable.
Well, if you're ever in Nashville, I would go 5 grand for you to build me something.
That's very kind. Yeah, if my bosses were watching, they would be like, no, nah, no. That's very kind of you. I wouldn't take your money. I
No,
would go.
I wouldn't say I'd pay you 5 grand. I'd say I have a budget of 5 grand.
Oh yeah, no,
No,
no.
I'm not going to pay you because I actually have a text message from you from when we did Gabby that said if I ever needed anything, and I would just turn that favor in.
No, yeah, no, yeah. So I'd build you the greatest system of all time. I would do it out of the kindness of my heart, and I'd have fun. You wouldn't, yeah, yeah. No, I think I read that as $5,000 for me in my pocket. I mean, I got a little excited there for a second, but no, I wouldn't. No, of course, I would have the time of my life building your streaming setup. I'd have to wipe the dumb grin off my face doing it because
I would love. I would be. I mean, I would geek out over that too. So, somebody actually just asked a really good question for you.
sure.
Let me go back to it so I can read it like verbatim. Um, can I ask JB what story is his what story is most memorable story to cover? What that's word. What's the most memorable story that you've ever covered to you?
So that's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting. So a memorable story.
Or maybe favorite story to cover. Maybe that would be an acceptable answer as well.
Say that again, Justin.
Or maybe something that's like your favorite story that you've covered, something that or maybe a crowning achievement, in your time during your time with journalism.
Yeah, people are like lighting up the comment section saying Gabby, and
Yeah.
I could never ever like point to that as being a favorite story. That's a
Tragic.
yeah, it's gut wrenching to this day. But so yeah, like a favorite story. Um, um, I once did a story. I don't know why this one is popping into my brain, but if we're talking about like a favorite story, one that really I used to be. People don't understand, but I used to be a boots on the ground reporter like Brian Henton. No, okay, no, I say like Brian Henton. I wasn't flown around to the biggest stories in the world to cover. I was a local news reporter, but I was the guy holding a microphone on the side of the road covering local news. And I don't know why this popped in my brain. There was a story that I once did about the importance of the bat population to Delaware. And I know it sounds totally weird, but I did a story about a family that built a bat house in their backyard, and they were talking about the importance to bats to their ecosystem. And I don't know why I had a field day with it. I had so much fun covering it because so many times I sat down and I thought to myself, this is really this. What world am I living in where I'm a news reporter covering? I felt like I was working at National Geographic. It was just totally bizarre and weird, and but I still to this day will get every now and again. People will have remembered that story because they remember when I was a local news reporter in Delaware, and they had watched that story, and for some reason it struck a chord with people, and people loved it, and I will still every now and again I remember your bat story from Delaware, and that is just such a weird thing that yeah. So I one day I want to build. We have bats in our neighborhood here in Tampa, and I want to build a bat house in my backyard now. And the reason being for those who are unfamiliar with why bat houses are um, so popular, or not, I want to say popular, so effective. They should be more popular. Is because they eat all the mosquitoes. They eat all the bugs. If you have a bat house, when the sun goes down at night, the mosquitoes, the bats will come out of the bat house because they sleep in there in the bat house, and they'll come out and they'll eat all your bugs in the backyard. And it's a great way. It's really nature's form of mosquito control. So I'm sure that is a very weird answer, and people were like, "Where did this live go?" But that was the question, and that's the answer.
Somebody just goes, we've now covered Murdoch, Idaho, Gabby, the Royals, and now bats.
Now bats in your backyard. Yeah, bats are amazing creatures. They're beautiful, and I know that sounds really weird, but I've always had a fascination with them. My wife too, and so yes, that is a memorable story that I did. One that's kind of like in a weird place in my mind that doesn't have to deal with death and destruction, unless you consider the death of mosquitoes being something that is that matters to you. But yeah, that's the answer.
Mosquitoes are miserable creatures and provide no value.
Selena's in my comments are saying JB is the real Batman. That is really the truth.
That is true.
I buried the lead. I actually am going to go down to the Batcave, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go fight crime tonight. In fact, I will show you guys this. There is my right over here is my fireplace, and you hit something on the fireplace, and it takes me down to the Batcave where I become Batman. So my secret is, Justin, you have breaking news on your hand. My secret is out.
Here's the thing. That's all it could be, because there's no other reason to have a fireplace in Florida.
That's right. I haven't used it once. I moved into this house and I said, wait, why is there a fireplace? And there are people in Florida who will use their fireplace when it goes down into the 50s.
Yeah.
And as someone who grew up in New York,
you laugh. Yeah.
The 50s in January is tropical. So yeah.
My dad lives in Miami, and if it gets below 70, he's freezing.
Yeah, I might get that soft at one point, but I'm not there yet. Happy birthday to who was it? Dating Booth? Yeah, happy birthday. I saw somebody.
My wife's birthday was yesterday, could be saying.
Happy birthday to your wife, Justin. Mrs. TikTok.
Yeah, her name's Alyssa, but yeah, she has that on her thing. She did Alyssa on TikTok, so yeah.
There you go. Justin, we all know your TikTok is your last name, right? Justin,
yeah,
on TikTok.
Because I'm not clever at all, and that's just all I could come up with. And it made it very hard to branch to other platforms because I have to keep it at this for, like, brand awareness. So, and are you going to cover Anna Walsh? That's me switching. That's just me asking for me.
Yeah, I have.
I know you have, but like as it progresses, are you still going to say?
Yeah, I would like to. But again, it comes down to the stories in which I'm assigned. And that brings me to a really important point. People are like asking all the time, how do I get JB to cover this story? And I tweet, there's a link. Man, where are my YouTube moderators at? There's a link that you use to submit news stories for me to cover. And you have to mention me by name. But we do get people saying, JB should be looking at this. JB should be looking at that. Anna Walsh is one. The thing of, this narrative that has been established that Anna Walsh is part of, the missing white girl syndrome. I understand that people have pointed to that and say that is why that there are experts who study viewership trends who say that is the reason why that story got a lot of coverage. And I really don't think that is the case. And I'll say it, and I want to shout this from a rooftop when people talk about it that way. This is a mother of three with three young boys with this suspect. And those boys are all under the age of 2, 4, and 6 years old. And people are saying, oh, the news is covering this because it's a missing white girl. We're talking about someone who disappeared on New Year's Day, and she's got 3 young kids at home. Those 3 boys will never have their mother, will never go to middle school, to grade school and have their mother in their life. So I think that is really the big thing that people forget about that story. They just see the pictures of Anna Walsh and they forget that there are 3 young boys in that household or, have been in state custody. And so I hope to cover it. I hope to cover it more.
Yeah. And they're going to lose their father too, because even if he doesn't get, I think we can safely assume that he is the world's dumbest criminal. But sorry,
I'll plead the fifth on it. I wish the Google search history is
very telling. Yeah, we'll just say that.
Yeah, it's hard sometimes, guys. It's hard to hold back. If that is true, yeah, that's
laugh. I'm not laughing because I think it's horrible, but it's just if it's true, because we'll go he's innocent until proven guilty. But like if it's true,
there goes the phone.
That makes him like the dumbest criminal ever. And I can say that. You don't have to. You can't. I get that. It's just some really bad mistakes. I guess don't jump from selling fraudulent Andy Warhols to murder. Um, maybe not. Maybe not a good leap. Have you heard? I'm just curious. Have you heard about the Verity Beck story in Pennsylvania?
I have
This,
not. No.
this this one is gruesome. This happened right around the same time Anna Walsh was everything was going on. This is a woman who double
Very. One more time.
Verity Beck, Verity. I'll tell you what. Just do this. Type in Pennsylvania
I got it.
chainsaw. Okay, got it. So she took both of her. You got to be careful, by the way, with some of the words you say on TikTok. Otherwise, the moderators get mad. So I have to make up stupid words like unalived a lot of times. So this woman unalived both of her parents with a firearm and then dismembered them using a chainsaw.
Yikes.
So
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
So I don't. It's
Well,
a tip.
You're not the one saying it. I'm saying it, so I'll be the one that gets it. But allegedly.
Pennsylvania woman arrested for allegedly murdering and dismembering her parents with a chainsaw. 43-year-old Verity Beck allegedly shot both of her parents in the head Tuesday before dismembering them, according to a criminal complaint. Beck resided in the home in Norristown, outside Philly, charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder, 2 counts of third-degree murder, and possessing an instrument of crime. You know, my cats are so fed up.
They're a problem. They're becoming a problem.
They are. They are becoming a problem. That one was Ziggy. So Ziggy is rubbing on the tripod that is holding this phone up. So Ziggy is about to be put in the cat house.
You have 2, right?
I have 2 cats.
What's the other one's name?
We just call her Mama because she was pregnant when we took her in.
Okay.
I'm hoping that Ziggy behaves. Otherwise, I'm putting her away. Yeah, we took in a pregnant stray and gave birth to a litter of kittens. And that's, you want to talk about memorable. I could talk. I should have it. See, and Ziggy just ran off because that time it scared her. So that time, all right, you guys, we're coming up like this. All right, I could do an entire show about cats because I love my cats, even though they are mischievous troublemakers who get very, very jealous when I'm giving others attention. But yes, I love my cats. And one of the most fun things I've ever done, I've done it twice now, taking a pregnant stray off the streets. Having a cat, one time, with one of the cats that we took in, having a cat in labor really right next to you, basically in your lap, is one of the most jaw-dropping experiences, just because you don't really know, especially when you take in a really pregnant stray who is about to quite literally burst. You don't know when it's going to stop. I don't know if anyone's ever seen a cat give birth, but one pops out, another pops out, and you never know when it's going to end. It is like a train of cats coming out, and you're thinking, oh my God, how many are in there? And so that is one of the more fun experiences that I've ever had, ever in my life. Is
how many kittens did you get out of that? Like how many?
Yeah, we got five each time. We had with one of them, we had a stillborn, and that was very, very sad. But excuse me. Yeah, I am gonna start blushing talking about how much I love cats.
Are you allowed to use your channel to talk about anything personal? Or do you have to do WFLA stuff only?
Every now and again, I'll talk about some personal stuff.
Cats. That's why I'm saying that they want content on your cats. I'm kidding. That's what they're saying.
I'm very cognizant of how difficult it can be to watch a live stream where for so many hours we're just talking about murder or death or tragedy, and every now and again when I feel like I think everybody needs just a little bit of a slight pick-me-up. Ask Brian Enton. When I have Brian Enton, he gets a little frustrated with me. Brian gets a little frustrated with me because when I have him on, I like to ask how his life is. And the last thing Brian Enton likes to talk about on camera is his own life, because that's just how he is. And it really, it's how a lot of reporters are. We like to stay focused on the task at hand and doing our job and making sure that it's about the story. We are taught, as far as journalism, we're taught it's never really about us. We're trying our very best always. Streaming is a little bit different because of how long form it is. But when it
Yeah.
comes to television, and also print, radio, really traditional journalism is mostly about completely removing yourself from the equation of the story that you're telling and just letting the facts speak for themselves. With streaming, it's a little bit different because I feel like every now and again, when you are doing it for hours and hours and hours, sometimes just getting a little bit of a breather is I think it's really important for mental health, not just for the audience, but also for us reporters and creators. So I'll ask Brian Enton about his life, and I'll ask like, what do you put on your pancakes? And he'll just shake his head and he'll text me afterwards like, really? And I love having fun with him because he's just because he hates it. It's
I know, I get that. I totally get that, and I appreciate you doing that to him as well.
yeah, I get it. You have to, and he's
Yeah.
fun. He makes it easy.
I was going to ask you something. You could always you could always create a channel for your cats and just don't tell anybody. It's just Mama and Ziggy is what you could call it, and just let people find it, and they won't ever know it's you.
An incognito channel. The
Yeah.
problem is, I tell you why I can't do that, because I would become so obsessed with creating cat videos that people would be like, "Wow, I haven't seen JB on the news in like a couple of weeks," and it's because I've made 47 cat videos instead of actually reporting on the news stories that people want me to report on. So I are there people, Justin? Maybe you can answer this for me. Are there people that just make cat videos? Because I want that job. If there was a way to make a living just having fun with my cats, that would be.
There is. It would require probably a lot of training and some strange sideshow, but you're in Florida, so I think it would work.
I watched that on Netflix, like Inside the Mind of a Cat, and it was great.
I about that. So there you go.
What pets do you have, Justin?
We have two dogs.
Okay.
We have a Cocker Spaniel who they're both dogs are rescues. Our Cocker Spaniel we got when we were living in Texas, and we got her at 6 months old. And since obviously you're an animal lover, this is going to make you cringe a little bit, and I apologize. But at 6 months old, she had been beaten with a belt. She had been she had a sister who's how we found this one. We applied for her sister, but the sister got adopted. But they were both so flea ridden, they were anemic, and they were so malnourished. Like her name's Zoe, her teeth never came in, and Zoe's like a very small Cocker Spaniel. And her vet, because she's how do I put this nicely? She's challenged, I guess, mentally challenged, and basically the vet said that if she were human, she'd be the equivalent of fairly severe autism, is basically what it was compared to. And that was all because of malnourishment, wow. And being a puppy. And the other dog we have is a King Charles Cavalier, who he is a very sweet dog, very good dog, but he is a very annoying dog. He does not ever stop whining. We have to put him on all sorts of medications and stuff because of it, and because that breed has a tendency to have heart issues, and you can't get him stressed out. But we think it's because he was taken from his mom. He was a puppy mill dog, and he was taken, we think, from his mom too young, and then some very young girl got him, and then realized puppies are a lot of work, and then surrendered him. So we ended up getting him, and I love them both. They're animals come with their own personalities and their own sets of challenges, and it is. But you adopt them, they're yours forever. That's the name of the game. So.
Well, I feel like I have a dog because the mama cat that we have, we just call her Mama because that's just, I don't know how that stuck. It was just easy. But she thinks she's a dog. She is quite literally a watchdog. Every single solitary time door has to sniff them. It's we think that she has a personality disorder, to where she is a dog stuck in a cat's body. She stop licking me. She just licks me, and likes to play with me. And she very much is like a dog more than a cat. Ziggy is very much a cat, but Mama, yeah, definitely a little confused, a little schizophrenic. But
she's a puppy. She's a puppy cat.
Yes, no, she is. Yeah, that's yeah,
That's
very with a big personality too.
yeah.
So why don't we do like another like five or
Okay.
10 maybe
Yeah,
maybe
five. Get us
rap,
to
rapid fire with questions.
yeah. Go for it. I'm good with
Uh,
that.
People just if I see a question, I'm just gonna answer it as quickly as possible. Justin, why don't we ping pong? Let's do that. If that makes it
Okay.
fun. I'll
Okay.
take a question and you take a question. We'll just ping pong back and forth. And I'm just gonna not even. I'm just gonna see it and I'm gonna answer it. Okay. Amy wants to know what my favorite dessert is. Creme brulee. I love creme brulee. I make creme brulee. I love to make creme brulee. What is your favorite dessert, Justin?
Oh man, actually, I like key lime pie a lot. That's probably
Oh, pie. Yeah.
my whole
Yeah.
family is from Florida, by the way. My entire family, like everyone's born and raised in Florida except for me.
Man,
So,
any of them in Tampa Bay?
no, I think the closest to Tampa I have now is DeLand or Tallahassee, which neither are really that close.
Well, if you're ever in the area, man, hit me up.
I will for sure. I was actually not there not too long ago for work, believe it or not. So during Gabby. Okay, so my question for rapid fire is actually a question for you. Apparently,
Oh,
they want you to know who you're going for in the Super Bowl. I'm not a sports guy at all, so I don't even know who's playing.
wow. Um, the Niners. An enormous Bucks fan. I'm in Tampa. I just have this weird feeling about the 49ers. There's something about the guy getting taken with the very last pick in the draft, like the last Mr. Irrelevant becoming a Super Bowl champion that is straight storybook. So I'm going to pick the Niners.
That's a good underdog story. I'm going to address it. So people keep asking you to cover a case called Ty and Bryn. So what
Yeah.
he said earlier in the live is, he gets assigned cases, but if you think that there's a case that he should, or a story that he should follow, where do they submit it again?
Yeah, there is a link. You go to WFLA.com, you go to contact us. I normally just have I'm not at work, so I normally have that link ready to go for people. Um,
You can put that link in your bio if you want, though.
yeah, I will do. I might look to do that after this, and maybe hopefully that helps people. That is, I will have to do a little research, but I will absolutely look into that because I've seen that repeatedly in the comment section.
Mine too.
Um, Jen wants to know what my first job was. Uh, I started working at 14 years old, before I was legally allowed to do so. Sorry, state of New York, but I was a very I wanted to start saving money for good stuff that all young guys want, like a car and everything. And so at 14 years old, I my first job, I worked at a greeting card store, and I stacked greeting cards, and that's why greeting cards have a very special place in my heart. And I try to get nice greeting cards for people because I the guy who puts the birthday cards here, the anniversary cards there. That was my job for when I was 14 years old. And then my first official job, I worked as a salesman. I worked in sales for a New York chain by the name of PC Richard and Son. That was really my first job. And then I grew up in Italian. Right, my family owns an Italian restaurant in New York. So I've also delivered hundreds of pizzas. It'd be really funny if anybody ever recognized me and said, I thought you delivered pizzas. But yes, my first few jobs were delivering pizza, working as an electronics salesman, and then also putting greeting cards away. What was your first job?
I was actually 13. I'm not trying to one up you on this. And
Oh, wow. So you were more ambitious of a teen than I was. How
I
about
will. I wanted the same thing you did. I wanted to call. Okay, so I'm not a sports person at all, but I'm a huge car person, and so I wanted to have a cool car. And so I literally, my parents have been divorced since a long time, since '87. So I was like 5 years old, and my mom was always at work. So I literally I'm going to sound like I'm like from the old days, but like I had to walk to my job every day after school. It was like literally a mile and a half, 2 miles away. I
yeah,
slept up the floor at a hardware store till I was 14. Then I was old enough to work for McDonald's because I guess in Georgia 14 was fine. I was in the Atlanta area at the time, and then I slowly moved up. I went at 15. I went to Kroger. 16. I went to Publix. And then after that, I went into retail. So I worked for like Pacific Sunwear when they still called it Pacific Sunwear.
sure. I remember.
Um, yeah, and then American Eagle, Hollister, Armani Exchange at one point did a lot of retail. Clothes were great. But yeah, well, my mom wasn't going to, help me with a car at all. So I had to like start saving my money, as early as I could to try to do that. So
The odd jobs that we have, right?
yeah,
When we're crazy. People asking me, I already told people asking in the comment section what my dream job is just to make cat videos. That's my dream.
I mean, you could make it
Can
a
we
thing.
get a
Maybe
thing?
do it. I would support your dream.
Thank you.
I would share. I would say, look,
Yeah.
this is not my usual content. We're gonna share. We're gonna do a day of cat video.
Justin, so it's your turn.
Somebody, okay, I want to do this one because it's just fun. Somebody asked me the last CD I bought, and I don't know because it was probably 2004.
Oh yeah, I don't remember. I do not remember. I couldn't tell you. I had a car full of CDs, man, when that was the thing. Yeah. All right. So, um, uh, Fun Size says, what TV show is your wife's fave that you hate to admit that you like too? Oh no. That's oh, I need to get my wife over here. What's my wife's favorite?
Oh, you're gonna be in trouble.
I'm gonna shut up. Oh, I like them all. I like them all. Um,
There you go. Safe,
uh,
safe generic
there,
answer.
there was the one show. Comments, chat, help me out. What was the show where on Netflix, um, people were put in pods and they had to date, but they couldn't see each other?
Or is that I don't think I ever saw that one, but I think I know what you're talking about. It was like a Korean show, right?
Well, they did a Korean. I think they did like a Korean version. They did an American version. And I tried to hate it. I tried to hate it, but then I'm like, I had to. It was like a social experiment, and I found that to be very. Love is
Staying
blind.
line.
Thank you. Love is blind. That one is one where my wife was glued, and I was pretending like not to care, but I was really like I was. I'd like research a story, and then I'd be looking and paying attention to it, and like, oh, is this couple really gonna make it? Yeah, I tried. I'm not a big reality TV guy, so that's the one. What about you?
Oh, easy. Outlander.
Outlander. Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
that your wife.
I don't even pretend anymore. I'm just like this. I'm into it. So, have you seen Outlander?
I have not.
You'll be into it for sure. So,
Okay.
you will. Your wife will love it. You will like it. I've not seen Yellowstone yet. They want me to ask you how you felt about the banners because we didn't talk about the banners at all tonight, which is how we met. So, the banners we flew over
Oh yeah, yeah.
the
No, very very familiar. So how many did you fly?
two. But
And
you might not know this, but the second one was meant for Cassie Laundry.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
So and remind me what were the messages on each one of the two flights?
I don't remember. They'll be able to tell me better than me. I know the one of them was like justice for Gabby, TikTok. Oh, I remember. Um, justice for Gabby, TikTok times up. We spelled it TikTok because TikTok raised the money, and then the other one was something like
I put Justin on.
silence is loud or silence is deafening.
Right, right. I thought that it was just I think that it was emblematic of how people were invested in that story. And when you reached out to me and you told me that it was happening, I I was I I was surprised but wasn't, if that makes sense. Um, just because it was really, and when I use the word emblematic for a specific reason, because it was indicative of just how massive the story had become at the time. So yeah, it was clearly just a massive effort that you guys put on, and I can only imagine what was going on inside that house when they realized there was a banner plane flying overhead. I'll say that. If there was a banner plane with a message being flown around my house that were paid for by people online, that would be a surreal moment for me. I think.
Oh, we lost him. I think you got a notification, guys.
Yep, I did. Yeah.
I'll give you the real quick, like 2-minute version of what happened with this, with how that came about. Um, so this was right after the supposed Dog the Bounty Hunter sent, which by the way, from that Dog the Bounty Hunter's nephew, he might still be in my live. He and I became friends through that whole thing. But somebody had said like, "Oh, look, Dog paid for Aloha Brian Laundry Dog," and I was like, "No, that's not real. That's fake." And somebody came into my life like, "You should do one of those," and I may or may not have had a drink or two in me. And I said, my Venmo's in my profile. If I start getting money, we'll do it. And the next thing I know, donations start rolling in.
Oh yeah.
And so we got enough of them. And then the second one came about. They're like, you should do it again for Cassie. Get her to speak. And then she ended up speaking that day. And people, so they had started donating, but that live. So I was streaming the plane. And that live, I think we got up to like 5,000 or 6,000 people in there, and they started donating for a second plane to go to Cassie's house. But then the woman out there, Bullhorn Betty, and then another creator friend of mine, Olivia, Cassie came out and talked, and it was like, okay, you came out and talked, so we won't do a banner over your house. My guess is what happened is with that many people in a live, somebody knew her. It was like, they're going to fly a plane over your house next. And they were like, we don't want this. We're going to talk. And so we had the money, and it was too many people to just refund. So I was like, all right, let's just do a second one around the laundry house. And you're like, I told you about that. And you're like, okay, whatever, we'll go with it. But that's how that came about.
Stories have you heard of where a banner plane that was community funded was being flown over the house, people that were being hounded for answers? I mean, just goes to show that story is unlike any other, and I think that's a good way to put it. I think I only
We lost you again for a second.
Battery. That's really what it is.
Yeah.
So, all right, we'll try to get to a few more, and then I'll probably have to sign off. Whose turn is it to get a question? Is it mine or yours?
I think it's yours because they told me to ask you, or maybe it's mine. They told me to ask you about the plane. So I guess I don't know. Whatever.
Let's see here. Looking at some of the questions that are coming in on my comment section. Favorite holiday? Yeah, I'll go 4th of July, and I'm gonna say I love 4th of July, just because I love the summer. I'm a big summer guy. I'm all about heat. I like it hot, and 4th of July is right in the heart of summer. It's around my birthday, and so I usually get to see family for my birthday, and so being around family is so important to me. So usually 4th of July for me is combination birthday, family, and of course grilling out. I love to grill. So and what was that?
When did you say your birthday was? Your birthday's the 4th of July too?
My birthday is July 2nd, so it's right around the same time.
My daughter's is the 5th, so that's why I was asking. So
that's awesome.
So we're going to tell until we can that the fireworks are for her.
Right. That's beautiful.
Because all the questions on my side are for you still, so I'm going to take the one that I saw earlier. That was for me.
Okay.
What my favorite car was, because I'm a car guy, and I actually own my favorite car, and that is a DeLorean.
Wow, I had a buddy who owned a DeLorean. Shout out Tyler Butler. He did news in Oklahoma, and I've been in a DeLorean. It's just a cool car. It's just the coolest.
Yeah, if you're ever in Nashville, I'll take you out in mine. But yeah, I love it. I drive it pretty regularly. It's got like 26,000 miles on it, and it's
labor of love because, as I understand it, it's a car that can give you fits.
This particular one, so I have owned 2 of them, and this particular one, I sold one that was almost completed for a basket case that had been sitting for like 30 years. And I normally do all the work myself. I'm capable of doing the work, but having my priorities have changed since having a kid. So I literally sold the one and then sent the current one up to Chicago and had DeLorean Motor Company in Chicago just do everything. So it wasn't so much a labor of love as much as it was a stern yelling at for spending that much money on a car. But, basically for the repair. But it's worth it. It's worth more than I have.
That is a cool thing to own. I don't care what anybody says. Owning a DeLorean.
Yeah, the question I want to ask, I know I just did mine, because I think that we could probably go down a long road with this one, but I'm actually curious about this one too, but it's for you, is what hair products do you use?
Oh my.
And I mean, I kind of want the question. I kind of have the same question now that they asked it. So
I have a haircut tomorrow. This is in fact I was supposed to go earlier this week and things got messed up news wise for me. Uh I use several because I have very thick Italian hair that doesn't like to cooperate. And I have to put a lot of product in my hair. It's three different products to even get it to listen to me. There is when I was younger, my hair doesn't grow down like some people do. If I were to let my hair grow out for 6 months, it just grows up like a beanstalk because I have thick Italian hair. And so getting it doesn't ever listen to me. It does its own thing up here. But a lot. The answer to the question is a lot of hair product. It's a ton.
well, if I can give you all the mine's kind of gotten flat today. I found this new stuff that's like a powder that you spray in it, and it's crazy. I can send you a picture of it when I get. Well, I have it here, but I will say this: if you don't have a Dyson Airwrap, buy it, wife, and then steal it.
Got it. I anything to figure out the conundrum of my hair because like my hair invents new ways to defend itself. That's another thing that's funny about my hair. I will come up with a hair product and then it will my hair will adapt to survive and eventually fight back. And then I have to come up with new hair products to throw it for a loop. It's a constant battle, you guys.
Variants, like you have different variants of hair depending. Like it builds an immunity, and yeah, I get it. I get it.
No, is it full of secrets? And I'm going to say more than you know.
Yeah. Yeah. You know. I get it. Mine is very thick, and I love it though because I'm 40. I don't know how old you are, but I'm 40 now, and the fact that I haven't lost any of it means it's probably going to be there forever, and I'm very happy for that because that's like one of biggest fears is like losing my hair and losing my teeth. I know there's what were things to be afraid of, but those are mine. And anyway, so yeah, it's finding hair products is challenging. So
yes, it is. But I will say this at the same time. Women have it a good. I'll sit here and complain about my hair, but women have it so much harder in our industry, especially.
Oh, they do.
The women who will quite literally spend a total of 10 hours a week doing just makeup for various shows and sometimes reapplying makeup and hair. It is us guys have it way easier. So to the women out there, I salute you because sometimes it is that's a real labor having to do an extended makeup session and do it sometimes repeatedly, depending, of course, on your particular preference. But yeah, I probably have time for like one more, and then I gotta go.
Okay, take one more. Whatever. I'll take it from your side, I suppose.
One more each.
I mean, they're all asking me. They're asking me questions for you. So, do you have any on your side, or do you want me to just pull one of these?
Yeah. Why don't you just pull your favorite question that you see? I'll pull one more out of here.
Okay, this one said. This one. I don't know if it's for you or for me. If you could give one, if you could give one piece of life advice, what would it be?
Whoa.
Good question. That's why I pulled it.
Wow. Overall general life advice. Try to put yourself in other people's shoes. You don't know what people are really experiencing in their life. You don't really understand what it is like to be another human because you're only you. And and it can be impossible or feel impossible at times, but you have to try. You have to stop and try to put yourself in the position of somebody else that is experiencing what so oftentimes amounts to hardship. And so often we get so caught up in our own headspace in life and we only think about ourselves and how things impact us. But if you routinely try to put yourself in other people's positions and try to get into just try to scratch the surface of what it might be like in their life and what they're experiencing, you will be a better human being for it. That's my job.
That's a great answer. Now I don't want to say mine because that's so I can't top that. I can't even come close to that.
Right.
Mine, I'll give I think mine is good advice too in general. This is I got to give my father props for this one. This is one of his. A lot has been lost for want of asking.
Say it one more time. I want to make sure I understand it.
A lot has been lost for want of asking.
Mm. And why does that carry such meaning for you?
Because a lot of people miss out on a lot of opportunities by never asking or never saying anything, by sitting quiet. And you never know if you kind of put yourself in that position where you know that the worst somebody's going to say to you is no,
Yeah.
then it makes the ability to ask for things. And it can be for a lot of it can be for a lot of things. It could be to it doesn't have to be just selfish. It can be philanthropic as well. I know last Christmas, not this past Christmas, but the Christmas before that, I worked with nursing homes until very recently, and I went into one that I called on as a client, and they had their angel tree up. And I don't know if you've ever seen a nursing home angel tree, but they want things like socks and blankets and maybe soda. Like it's very small things that are very big to them. And so we saw that, and at that time I had a following of like 200 something. I said, I'm going to take all of these, every one of them off the tree, and we're going to fulfill this whole thing. We did it in one night, and it came on, and I asked about, I could have done nothing with it, but or done it myself. I was like, hey, let's go on, see if we can get some other people here. I got this platform, and I asked them to help, and they did. So, it doesn't have to be just for selfish reasons, but you never know what people are going to say till you do. So
That's great advice. I think that really that resonates. Yeah, it does. And just feeling comfort in expressing yourself too is such a big deal. Also, so yeah, that was a really thought provoking question.
all
I'll
right, Joe.
we'll try to end out on one here to make us smile. How about that? Last call for a question to end the stream on a high note, and that way that we can smile as we sign off here. Any question that is on your mind, it's for Justin and myself, and really we'll ask it to everybody else too. Let's see.
I'm getting a few over here, but they're more about us doing this again.
Oh, that's great. Basketball is the sport that I played. When is the next stream? I'm always streaming. It just depends on the platform. Somebody asked favorite vacation. Any vacation where I'm underwater, scuba diving with my wife. That's mine.
Not done scuba before, but I really want to. My wife is like has no interest in doing that with me. So yeah, I would. But I also live in a very landlocked state, so it makes it harder.
All right. Well, this is a good one. We'll end out on a guilty pleasure. A guilty pleasure. Do you have a guilty pleasure?
I'm gonna have to think on that for a second.
I'll share mine, and Brian Ensign's are the same. That's actually something that we have bonded over a little bit, and we've talked about it on stream. So yeah, Brian and I both love we love top shelf tequila. We love tequila. That is a guilty pleasure. As far as a more nerdy guilty pleasure, I'm a huge Nintendo nerd.
Really?
Yes, Mario, Zelda, you name it. If it's Nintendo, I love it, and that just goes back to the nerd inside of me. The nerd.
I love my NES. I haven't played it in a long time, but I love my NES.
Yeah,
I have a lot of games that I've had for longer than I want to admit. So,
yeah, just love it. I'm such a Nintendo fanboy.
what's your favorite game?
What's that?
What's your favorite Nintendo game?
Zelda Breath of the Wild, most recently. Yeah, the most recent Legend of Zelda game, which absolutely blew my mind, and it just rekindled my love for video games. Even though I don't have much time to play these days, given the career demands that come with it, but that one to me was just a masterpiece, and anybody who has played it knows and understands. Okay, you guilty pleasure before we wrap up?
Records.
Vinyl. Awesome. Favorite vinyl?
It depends. It depends on the genre. But here's what I will say to that. I'm not really a huge Alice Cooper fan, but I've become kind of a huge Alice Cooper fan because one of my best friends, we're known forever, is Alice's personal assistant. So I've gotten to meet Alice like multiple times, and I have like a ton of his records, and every one of them is signed. And then I have also his top hat, which apparently I'm the only person to ever get one. So that's kind of, so now I have to kind of like be a fan of his because of that. But I don't know. It's hard because like I'm a huge Doors fan, but then if you get into more modern stuff, um, my wife got me into Panic at the Disco, and
Nice.
who
I saw
was
them
great.
live.
Huh?
I saw them live. They're
It'll be
great.
your last. It's gonna be your last time.
Oh, wow.
He announced yesterday he's done.
Wow.
Because they're a kid. But yeah,
I-
we saw them live too. We saw the latest tour, and then we saw Pray for the Wicked, and then we saw a pop-up show in Nashville. But they're great. I've always been a huge Red Hot Chili Peppers fan. We saw them live a few months ago. But I just, I'm not really a country fan. But other than that, I mean, I like anything going back to like the big band era all the way to today, and it just kind of depends. Everything basically. But I'm not really a big fan of country music. I have some stuff that you have to have, like some Johnny Cash and some Dolly Parton, because Dolly Parton is a living, breathing saint. And but anyway, so yeah, that's I'd say that's probably it. So
I made the mistake of not plugging in my phone, so my phone is on like 3-4%. I'm just like everybody else. I have a phone. It's got a battery. It might die. So we should probably wrap this up before I just like freeze and go to nowhere.
Everyone, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, people keep asking or pointing out that I see this in the top left, Justin. This is when you're teaching me and educating me.
Yeah.
65K likes. And I don't know what that means.
So when people can like your live by tapping the screen, and it's just likes.
Okay. So that like, so is that us combined, or is that you and me? I just
you
making like pointing that out. Like, I don't know what that means. So I just want to make sure I understand.
The more they tap the screen, the more likes get you to like the top of the lot, like basically live pages.
Oh, wow. Very cool.
And it caps out at like 1.1 million. Ask me how I know that, but it caps at like 1.1 million.
The flex.
Yeah, just a little one. But anyways, but yeah, I'm at 77.8, and it's not like I'm not like one upping. I'm just telling you that's what mine is. So it's different. We have both different ones.
What was your total?
70. Oh, now it's 78.4, 78.5. It keeps going up, like, because people keep tapping. But I will say before his thing dies, if you haven't followed him already after this, go follow him. He's new to TikTok. He's been around for a while, and he doesn't have as many followers on TikTok as he should. So make sure that you go over there and follow his account, because he definitely deserves it. And if you like up to date, really good coverage, you're going to get it from JB. I promise you that.
Thank you, Justin. And to everybody who commented and apparently hitting the like button, thank you guys. I really appreciate it. It means the world to me. I'm just trying to do good content on this platform, trying to be somebody that can perhaps help clear up some misinformation, do some good old-fashioned reporting on here. You're not going to find me really partaking in much trends or doing dances, choreographed dances, but
I would love to do
that. If you're looking for a reporter who will do his best job as possible, as humanly possible to be reliable. That's what I'm all about. So guys, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
And if you wanted, they're all asking me to ask you to do it again. So if you want to do it again, I would obviously love to. I think we don't have to do it for as long as we have tonight, but if you're down for it, I totally would be, because I think it was fun.
I would love to do this again. I would love the opportunity to. So everybody, thank you for all the kind comments. I gotta rest, because at 9 a.m. we begin Murdoch trial coverage tomorrow ahead of the 9:30 opening. So I appreciate everybody. Get some rest. Justin, thank you really for having me. It was a total pleasure. You are a classy dude, and so thank you for what you do, and it was an honor being side by side with you.
Well, likewise, the honor's all mine.
Yeah, man.
All right, have a good night. Get some sleep. I can't wait to see what you come up with tomorrow.
Thanks, Justin, and everybody. Have a great night. We'll see you soon. See you on stream tomorrow.
Yeah. And for those of y'all who want, we'll talk about Banfield now, okay? Because
go to Justin's page, watch Banfield.
So, all right, have a good night.
You as well.
because
Go to Justin's page, watch Banfield.
Banfield. So, I have a good night.
You as well. You as well.
Fun. I really enjoyed that. He's a good dude. So, Alyssa, my wife, who I believe is in here, might have to come down and tell me, or maybe Banfield's about to, you know what, let's. Okay, I can tell him to do that. He doesn't know how to do that yet. But we will get him there. All right, let me see what I can do, because Banfield might be about to come back on. Yeah, I'm very, very excited that he agreed to do that with me. That was amazing. I'm trying to get this turned on. Hold on. There we go. Let's see if we go to here. Wait, do I not have it on? There it is. Why'd you block the dating booth? They're usually awesome. All right, let's see what we have on Banfield. All right, where is News Nation? No, Banfield's not going to be back on till 1 a.m. I'm not. You guys don't have me till 1 a.m. Let me see if I can find it on demand or something, or DVR. Maybe DVR. Alyssa got it. That's great. Okay, here's what I'm going to do real quick. Okay, I'm going to do this for. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. What I'm probably going to do, though, we will watch. I got it right here. We're going to watch Banfield. So what I'm going to do for the sake of the live and for myself, because I know a lot of people got muted because of Banfield, but now that we're coming on, we're going to watch it. I'm going to take a quick 5-10 minute, less than 10 minute like bathroom break and stuff like that. Go talk to Alyssa. And then I will come right back on. What time is it? It is 11:27 my time. So by 11:35, I will be back on. So 8 minutes, 7-8 minutes. And then I'm going to come right back. So, okay, Emily, I will. I'm going to come right back. So, yeah, just look for me, like literally less than 10 minutes.